What's up, fellow roaders? I'm Joshua Thomas, and I've got these other three yahoos with me.
I'm Christopher.
I'm Ian.
I'm Sean. Yeah, I'm Sean. That's me. Yeah.
All right.
I'm Sean.
All right, it's getting close to the holiday season time again, and we are back to doing 3 games to play instead of, and this time it is 3 games to play instead of Clue. So Clue is probably one of the better older games out there, but there's a lot of modern games out there now. Ian looks like he disagrees with me. But
I think it's a great premise that just falls woefully short.
Yeah. I think, well, here's the thing. I think there's a lot of games that just fall woefully short without a great premise. But, all right, so let's come up with 3 kind of like murder mystery detective style games that are way better than Clue. So what do you guys got?
Go, Topher.
Well, you said you had one.
Yeah,
I just
regardless.
I think part of the problem was you said murder mystery style, and I'm like, oh,
well, I mean, it
have to be murder mystery because
if you feel like it's
I
got,
was thinking it was not murder mystery.
well, if you think it would be a good replacement to Clue, then go for it. Mine was going to be Sherlock Holmes Consulting Detective.
Fine.
That was yours?
I'm just kidding. It was Murder in Hong Kong.
Yeah, okay.
We played Consulting Detective. I read the newspaper for 30 minutes. I regret everything I ever said about this game, Josh. This is the best game ever.
What even is this?
I have no idea what's going on.
Yeah. Well, he's referencing a previous video that we did in which we played the game, and me and Topher didn't know that there were points, or that points were ever coming.
I didn't know we started playing.
We kept trying to go to the opium dens.
But here's the thing. Because Christopher read the newspaper for 30 minutes, he actually helped solve part of the mystery because there's hints in the newspaper that comes with the game.
I mean, look, I'm just going to be straight up honest. Because it has an opium den, it's already a better game than Clue. If you could say, well, what are you going to do with your turn? I'm going to go to the opium den. In Clue, it'd be like, yeah, okay.
It would be, no, in Clue, it'd be like the person gets up from the table and leaves the house.
Yeah. You actually gain points with Sherlock Holmes if you do that because he approves of opium.
So that's sense. Actually... So for those of you who have never played Sherlock Holmes Consulting Detective, that actually doesn't happen. But
it totally happens.
But it is definitely a murder mystery game, and you have to really think outside the box with the clues that you're given because the game consists of 10 murder mysteries, and each one is its own separate booklet. You go to these different locations in London, and depending on the location you go to, you may or may not talk to someone who gives you a good clue. The person may talk to you and tell you what they know, and it could lead you off on this completely wrong journey. You might end up solving some other murder that you weren't even trying to figure out at the beginning, which might get you...
So is the newspaper that Topher was reading, was it just like 7 strips of Slylock Fox?
Yeah, you can tell it's the robin because the footprints in the sand are together and they hop, and the cardinal walk.
But yeah, each case comes with a newspaper, and the newspapers are dated as well. So the further into the cases you get, the more of the newspapers you can use because... It's like, oh, hey, once I've gotten to September 1884, I can use all previous newspapers. They may also have hints in them as well.
So I'm going to throw out that this game sounds like it's probably better played by maybe a small handful of people.
Yeah, I'd say get together a group of like 3, maybe even 2 to 5 people. And then
that game is untenable with 5 people. There's no way you guys can agree to do anything with 5 people. That's impossible.
Well, that's another thing is there's no time limit.
On the other hand, I do think it's really funny to play as the Sherlock Collective.
Because I'm thinking in that, one of the elements of Clue is that it's like just a step shy of a party game, right?
Yeah.
It is a casual, medium-sized group game. Clue kind of falls short in a smaller group. If you've got 3 people playing Clue, it's a sad existence you leave.
Yeah.
You leave.
That's another thing with
also a sad existence you leave too, but
that's another thing with Sherlock Holmes as well, is that everybody is working as a team to try and solve the mystery. And since it doesn't have a time limit, the book recommends that, hey, look, before you start playing, say, if we don't solve it in 2 hours, we'll just try to answer as many questions as we can.
Yeah.
It comes down to a multiple choice. You can game the game.
Yeah.
It does sound like a fun game, although I do feel like it, while it has the same element of Clue in that it is a murder mystery, it does sound like there are some very definitive, stark differences between what the flavor of the game is.
It's also.
Oh, go ahead.
It's also very much like a choose your own adventure, because you could be chasing down a lead for 30 minutes and you only get to ask like one question at a time, and then it's like left or right, do you want to investigate this, and you're out of time. It just, you could waste a lot of time spinning your wheels. I mean, it's very much it's the NYPD Blue meets Clue. We just love that.
Yeah. And it's definitely like Sherlock Holmes level mystery as well. So you've got to think outside the box.
Except in the books, he gets it right pretty consistently. He doesn't just and then there was that time I really thought it was the butcher, and I had to focus, and when I refocused, I went back to the opium den, and I woke up with my keys in my hand. That doesn't happen.
To be fair, if I remember correctly, we don't actually play as Sherlock. I think we're actually like the Watson
and Sherlock.
Like we're not actually playing as Sherlock.
Yeah, Sherlock is like, I can do it myself. Sherlock says he can do it himself.
Sherlock goes off, immediately does, perfect, pro gamer moves.
Yes.
Sure.
And immediately beats it. And the whole thing is you're comparing yourself to Sherlock and how you got there as opposed to him.
And we're trying to solve it faster than Sherlock.
Trying to do better than Sherlock.
Wake up in an opium den, and then Sherlock is like...
I mean, at least it sounds like fun choices. I will totally, while it does seem like it deviates from kind of the overall concept of what you're doing that evening than Clue, it at least sounds more interesting than, I roll a die, I walk out of the room, I walk back into the room, and I make a new accusation.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, roll the die, I walk out of the room, back into the room, and I make a new accusation.
Yeah.
Like betrayal.
All right, Christopher, you said, what is it, Deception, Murder in Hong Kong?
Yeah, that's literally the perfect replacement for Clue. It is a party game. It doesn't take a long time. It's competitive. It's a literal murder mystery in which you have a murder weapon and you have gas, shot, a clue.
Yeah, actually. And
fantastic.
We've played it several times. You can play it like 10 times in an hour.
And that's another thing, is that, what you said you can play it 10 times. You could play it 11 times. You could play it more times than you could play in Consulting a Detective. Because once you play a thing in Consulting Detective, that's it. That whole story is gone.
It is, but it's going to be a damn fun story. But I definitely enjoy. So okay, your experiences may vary, but Deception, Murder in Hong Kong is definitely a fun one because number one, it goes quickly. There is one person who plays what is it, the guy who knows who the murderer is.
forensic scientist, forensic researcher, or something like that.
And so the forensic researcher has different cards with different clues on them, and he'll lay a bullet on the clue, and it's like, what are the clues? Like, what are the different clue cards?
Type, like weather is one of them.
Okay.
Or location is 3 separate cards. And he has to pick one clue that best describes the location off of the 3 cards. And then as he's turning,
And then aren't there random ones where it's like, what kind of murder was it? And it could be like a brutal murder, or it could have been a quiet murder or something like that. Mm-hmm. And so based on those clues, everybody has laid in front of them, 8 or 10 different cards face up?
I think it's 10 cards. It's 5 murder weapons and 5 clues.
Yeah. And secretly at the beginning of each round, the murderer, who is chosen randomly by handing out cards, will choose 1 murder weapon and 1 clue to show the forensics investigator. And then it's up to everyone else to figure out, based on the clues that the forensics investigator gives, and looking at all the different items that each person has, they've got to narrow it down. Like, the investigator might say it was a bloody murder. And so we're all looking around the table saying, okay, what weapon would cause a bloody murder?
A knife.
A chainsaw or a crowbar or something.
What,
I was just going to say, I really, really like the game. It's a fun game. Like you guys are talking about, it goes fast. I will say that one of the things that I do find a little difficult with the game sometimes is the forensic scientist. So many things are left to interpretation. It's definitely a game where the forensic scientist has to, based on the questions that are given, based on the clues they're allowed to choose from, sometimes is just sort of throwing stuff at the wall and not sharing what'll stick. Where, if based on the crime, they'll have to try to come up with, like, do you think it was a mother or a surgeon or and they're looking at these, looking at the crime scene and the murder weapon. They have nothing to go off of based on that. And so it can definitely be, if you're the forensic scientist, it can sometimes be kind of frustrating in terms of what you've got to work with. And
I love it. I love how frustrating it is because, like, it was a chainsaw, or no, he dissolved them in acid. It's like, what was the weather? Fucking
it was wet.
I guess. I don't know.
But hey, that's a part of the game, though. If you as the murderer can stump the forensic investigator with the item and the clue that you choose, you win.
I'm going like, it was sunny. Like, obviously he used the dynamite. What is wrong with you? He used the
Oh
my god. I also like that it incorporates other roles in the expansion where you can have witnesses and accomplices. And I think that was one thing that I'm trying to remember playing Clue. Does the murderer know who he is? I didn't think so. It's like,
it can change too, can't it?
He has no clue. You could actually accuse yourself of committing the murder and be wrong.
Oh, and be wrong?
Yes.
You can also accuse yourself of murder, be correct, and win the game because you outed yourself to everyone.
Yes.
Yeah, so that's definitely another flaw of Clue.
It was me. I did it. No, you didn't. Oh, shit.
I did it with the gun. I didn't.
I apparently did it with a candlestick. Fuck!
Yeah, pretty much the point of Clue is everybody starts in, like, a different space in the board.
Yeah.
And everybody
enters a fugue state.
Everybody gets like 3 cards, which are clues. And then when you go into a room, you make an accusation. You're like, I think it was Colonel Mustard in the dining room with a candlestick.
Yep.
And the person to the left of you, if they have any of those cards, they have to secretly show you one of them. And then if they don't have one of those cards, then it goes to the next person and the next person, etc. As soon as you are shown a card, then that's it. Your turn is over. And you write down that clue that it couldn't have been the candlestick because, Jerry had a candlestick card. And then, if nobody hands you a card, then you can at that point make a for reals accusation and try to end the game. But one of the things that you want to do is sometimes say things that you know are like you have Colonel Mustard, but you're trying to throw other people off because you know nobody will show you the Colonel Mustard card, and you're trying to find out other stuff.
Yeah.
The problem is that the board in Clue is useless because there's nothing stopping you from rolling a die, walking out of the parlor, and then back into the parlor so long as you rolled more than a 1 and making a new accusation. So there's 0 point in having multiple brooms.
Got it.
But does Murder in Hong Kong translate to a movie as well as Clue does?
I mean, if you got Tim Curry, probably.
Well, he's in a wheelchair, so I don't know if that would...
You know what?
Oh, man, now I want to see him revive a Rocky Horror Picture Show, but as Dr. Scott.
Dr. Scott in a wheelchair, in fishnets, at 87 years old, or however the hell old
being played by Tim Curry. It's like
being played by Tim Curry.
I think it's the perfect full circle.
Well, Ian, what game were you going to suggest to replace Clue?
So I think it's really fun that we have done it in this order because we kind of got more reductive as we went. So your idea being the Sherlock game.
Sherlock Holmes.
More like deductive.
That sounds more
like deductive. All right.
And then Topher's with Hong Kong. Mine would be Chameleon.
Chameleon.
So Chameleon it's one of those basic where you get like a card that has several different type of topics or a specific word to it. Everybody who's not the chameleon knows which of those words is the one that is everybody's, code word.
Okay.
And everybody goes around the table saying things that relate to that word, and trying to out the chameleon. So the chameleon has to give words that are vague enough based on the clues that they're hearing from other people, so that way they don't guess them. It's kind of like a spy code word style.
Yeah, I was going to say similar to Spyfall or perhaps Codenames, sort of. Yeah.
Kind of. It's just, you've got somebody who is obviously, the chameleon who is trying to blend in. So you've got that idea of, kind of like who's the murderer, but it's just on a much more simplified level.
Nice. How many players? I don't think I've played Chameleon.
I never heard of it.
It's like 3 to 8 players, but honestly, having 5 to 8 really makes it more fun. If you're playing with 3 or 4 people, it's just not that great.
It's the same thing with Spyfall too. If you can get more players in, it just makes it more interesting.
It reminds me of that. There's like this dream card game where one person is not familiar with what the clues are, and they have to guess where everyone is in the dream sequence.
Is it? It's not Dixit. I know Dixit is a.
It's not Dixit. It's
and then,
gosh darn it.
I was thinking Mysterium, but in Mysterium, the ghost is the person who knows the murder, and they hand out cards that are just really weird dreamlike pictures. And then these psychic mediums, the other people play as psychic mediums, have to interpret those cards and be like, okay, this is what the ghost is trying to tell me.
That sounds pretty cool.
Yeah, also a better game than Clue.
Oh, I think it, excuse me, no, never mind. It's not that at all. I was like, oh boy, no.
What did you think it was? Or what did you just find that it wasn't?
When I Dream.
When I Dream, okay.
Balls. I gotta find it. It's it's because it's done with these cards, and you have to play. Okay, so if someone plays something, and you have to explain why you played that, how it relates to the actual clue itself, and you're like, well, I played that because red.
Yeah.
And or I played this because jungle sequence, or that looked like a nose or something like that. But the guy that doesn't know what's going on, he's got to try and BS his way about why he played a card that's kind of matches the set of clues that other people had. And you're like, well, I don't think, and you have to pick who that person is, and if you pick who that person is that doesn't actually have all the information, then you get some points. And if people vote that they think that you do this, that, the other, that you might be the person that knows it, if you don't know it, then you get points for the number of people that vote. And if you can hide away from people, then you get the most points or something like that.
All right, well, if you're watching this video and you know what game Christopher's talking about, leave a comment below, and
it was a fever dream.
So that he can watch this comments later and then just like slap himself, be like, oh, of course it was that game all along. All right.
Do you remember that game where we played with where it's like my name is Bob, or the guy that was dying in the hospital?
Wait,
what are you talking about?
This is Jim or something?
Yeah, that was it. It was like, this is so-and-so. This is
good. This is a good video medium. Let's us just quietly...
Tap. Keyboards.
This is Jim.
It was like you were doctors and you were trying to treat a dude and...
Oh, and he's got like amnesia? Sort of?
He's terminal, and he's trying to tell you his life story.
I know what you're talking about. It's like a really sad game, and it's like the miserable life of... Well, it's because you're basically trying to learn this guy's life before he dies.
Yeah. All right, our next video, top 10 saddest games.
I know what you're talking about too, and it's like the... I don't know. I could go to the board game store and say, hey, do you remember that game? And they'd be like, oh yeah, we've got that.
Give me your saddest game.
Give me your saddest game that you have. I'm in a good mood and need to stop it.
How about an honorable mention? Do honorable mention.
What is the honorable mention?
10 Minutes to Kill.
10 Minutes to Kill.
Game.
Okay.
I've got that game. Furries, right?
Yeah, 10 Minutes to Kill it's a quick and easy game, and it's not bad at all. I enjoyed it.
Did you play 10 Minutes to Kill, Ian?
I did, but not successfully because there was a piece missing. Because we tried to do it at Mighty Meeple, and we thought we could try it with the missing piece, whoever it was that was teaching me the game, and then it turned out that it doesn't work if you're missing the one piece.
One of the people that was the missing piece.
Yeah.
Oh, dang.
So it was still an interesting game, and I got the concept and thought it would be a cool game. Yeah. But yeah, well, so I didn't successessly play it.
We did successfully play it, and I remember it was an interesting kind of a puzzle solving game too, because you're
trying to assassinate your targets while at the same time not trying to assassinate innocent people, while at the same time trying to avoid being caught by police. And then you're moving everybody around, and maybe you're moving your own character, maybe somebody else's character is moving. You can assassinate your opponents and just kill them. You can, do all kinds of different stuff.
And the thing is,
is one great big shell game.
Your opponents can guess your objective based on the pieces that you're moving and try to thwart you as well. So yeah, definitely this interesting puzzle solver where the puzzle just keeps changing. Okay, so yeah, at this point, this is just however many games to replace Clue, which there's plenty. So yeah, thanks everyone for watching. Like and subscribe, and smash that bell icon if you want to get updates every time we upload a video. Thanks for watching.
Bye.
Bye.
Later.
Oh, now that those losers are gone, let's talk about the opium den.
Oh, I thought you were gonna go back to putting the woman in a basket and
and then on top of a lazy Susan.
Yeah.